Hey guys, how's it going? I just got back from GenCon. I am so very exhausted. I am completely spent. However, I did get to play Mutant Genesis, and I wanted to get a video out on my initial thoughts before I went on vacation this week. So I was fortunate enough to be able to play the Sabertooth encounter at GenCon. So this was a ticketed event that I played on Sunday afternoon, which was yesterday, which feels like 10 years ago, honestly. Like, I am white. But what we did is we brought heroes, so we didn't get to play any of the new Colossus or Shadowcat, Kitty Pryde, Shadowcat, yeah. But we did get to play some of the fun heroes that we brought. We were running a 4-player game. I ran Iron Man Protection. We had a Ms. Marvel Justice. We had a Groot leadership, and we had a Miles Morales leadership. And so that team up worked really well. And we got to play against Sabertooth with 2 new mods, which is Mystique and Brotherhood. What we're going to do in this video is talk about kind of my overall impressions of the mods and then the Sabertooth scenario. So Sabertooth was a pretty interesting and very beefy villain, and the reason that he was so beefy is that after every single activation that he had, he healed. You would discard a card, and then based on the number of boost icons on that card, you got to heal, or he healed. And so it was a slog, which was really cool. Like, that's not bad in any way. That it was just like very different because he had this regenerative healing going on, and so that made it, you know, kind of, some of the decisions were kind of interesting because there were some times where it's like, okay, I could deal 1 damage or I could do XYZ, and it's like, okay, I don't want to do 1 damage because he's going to heal. He's already at full health, and so maybe I need to do something else. And so it made you kind of think about the game a little bit differently, which was really enjoyable. In his kit, he had some cards that had him activate, which helped him heal, which got kind of insane. We were pretty lucky to have Miles at the table, who was able to stun and confuse him pretty significantly, which helped him keep that healing down. And then we did have a lot of chump blockers on the table, which were able to kind of mitigate those cards that activated. So there was one round I pulled 2 advances in a row, like, which was crazy. I actually don't remember if I was in hero form or not, but it was just, I just had I had 2 Red Skulls staring at me. It was crazy. But the entire scenario is actually built around the players needing to protect Robert Kelly, who is a unique ally. And Robert Kelly starts out on this side scheme with a pretty high threat threshold. And again, I apologize, this is not as polished as I normally like to make it. I think it was 3 per player or something around that. I think in a 4-player game, we started at like 12. And basically, when every single turn that Robert Kelly is still attached to that side scheme, he takes damage based on how much threat is on the main scheme. And whenever you defeat that side scheme, the first player takes control of Robert Kelly, so he will be rotating around the table. And then if any undefended attack is ever made against that player, instead of the hero taking the damage, Robert Kelly takes the damage, which he only has 9 hit points, and if he dies, you lose the game. And so this created some pretty fun kind of bouncing back and forth, especially in a multiplayer game. I think that this is a lot more interesting in a multiplayer game. I will be interested to see how it goes true solo, but I do think that with the multiplayer game, it opened up a lot more interesting choices to who needs to block for whom, so that we can protect Robert Kelly, because really the damage wasn't insane. Like the Sabertooth wasn't hitting super hard. I think he was hitting like a 2, and we were playing standard, so on the first and the second stage he was hitting for like a 2, and then he had an attachment at one point that gave him +1. So it wasn't like a lot of damage that was coming at him, but with someone like Robert Kelly, who only had 9 health and there really wasn't a built-in game mechanic to heal him, then that got pretty dangerous. Luckily, the Groot leadership player was running a Yondu Voltron deck, which had first aids in it, and so that we were able to knock some of that damage off of him, because some of Sabertooth's encounter cards deals damage to Robert Kelly, and so there is always a risk of leaving Robert Kelly with, you know, 1 to 2, 3 health because it could very easily come in and hit him. And kill him and have you lose the game. And so it was fun to see that as kind of a different angle and mess with that. It was just kind of a new way to look at the game. Let's talk about Mystique. So Mystique is a new modular set, which may be one of my favorite modular sets that I have seen so far. So it is super cool. So Mystique, her lore is that she copies, and she's a shapeshifter and she can look like other things. And so she copies what she does in Marvel Champions is she copies the stats of the villain, and then she is effectively guard for everybody at the table. So it says something along the lines of like, players cannot attack the villain. So thematically, the players don't know who is who, and they think that Mystique is the villain, and so they are focused on killing Mystique while the villain is kind of hiding away and tinkering and doing what he needs to do to carry out his scheme, which is hunting down Robert Kelly. So this was really cool. I think she had like 9 hit points. She was beefy, and we've never seen a minion that I can think of off the top of my head that scales with the villain, which she does now. And it was so cool. Part of that mod set was a card called Shapeshifter Surprise that whenever you whenever you revealed it, you shuffled it into your deck, and then whenever you drew the card, Mystique either activated against you or you had to go and put Mystique into play. And so Mystique is just very frequently coming out and hitting the table, giving guard to everyone, and so that you have to take care of her. It was really interesting, and it made for a pretty long game. And so I guess like if there's my only critique of this entire event was that it was a long scenario. It was a long scenario. We were playing 4 players with 4 players who very well knew the game. It was a great scenario. So shout out to my teammates there. But it did take a while, even with experienced players, which I guess cannot really be a complaint because now I'm complaining about playing a game longer, but that I love, and so take that as you will. There was just a lot of ways that Sabertooth was healing, and then Mystique was having us deal with a 9 hit point minion before we could take care of Sabertooth. And so there's just a lot going on the table, which was pretty interesting. I am absolutely enamored with this mod set. I can't wait to try it in some of these other sets, especially with some that have some pretty beefy villains, because I think this mod set is one that scales with the villain difficulty. And so you can have this mod set in any villain, and it kind of makes it will always make it harder, right? This is a hard mod set. So if you throw this in like with a villain that has maybe like a 1/1 or like lower stats, Mystique's not going to hit as hard. Or you can throw it into something like Thanos where he's swinging for 4 and Mystique's swinging for 4. I just think it's going to be a really fun, challenging modular set. The last modular set that we got to play with was Brotherhood. And so this Brotherhood is kind of built around the 4 different minions. It was Toad, Avalanche, Pyro, and Blob. Blob is big. And they all have different abilities that activate when they attack you. And so some of them are stunning or exhausting characters when you get attacked. And so it made your minions need to be defended, which also had some synergy in Robert Kelly because you wanted to be defending for Robert Kelly's. And so if you were the first player and had these minions, which are beefy, there was just a lot of defending going on. And so I do like seeing the incentivization, yeah, words of defending, especially as a protection player. So my favorite part about this mod set was actually the Homo Superior card that when you flip it up, you attach it to a minion and you give it tough and 5 hit points. And it was just a really cool way to make minions a little bit tougher, and we did have it on Mystique a couple of times, which made her like a 14 hit point minion that we had to take care of before we could even touch Sabertooth, and that was bonkers. Like that got kind of out of hand. We did so much damage. So it was 13 per player and then 15 per player in stage 2, but we probably did like 1.5 times the damage that we needed to, just because he was healing 4 times around. It was it was a really cool scenario. The last thing that I wanted to talk about is the Brotherhood modular set is the side scheme. I don't remember what it's called right now, but it basically comes in and then it gives all the Brotherhood minions quick strike. And so if that comes in and you flip a Brotherhood minion, they now have quick strike, meaning that they're going to attack you when they get revealed or when they engage a player. And this is especially dangerous because of the abilities that they trigger when they attack. So every single one of them has an ability or modifies their attack in some way. And so giving them quick strike just means that you have to deal with that even more often. Overall, the scenario was pretty difficult in a different way. It was longer, and I think if we weren't running like a first aid in the Groot leadership deck, then we probably would have come very close to losing. Maybe we would have played slightly differently because we knew we had that safety net of the first aid. But I thought Robert Kelly was just such an interesting mechanic. I liked the decisions that he forced and made players defend for other players or defend for yourself, which just made it just a really cool mechanic. So I'm really happy to see the design team still finding unique and interesting ideas for encounter sets. I believe that this is the first encounter in the Mutant Genesis box. I may be wrong on that, but I am very hyped for what comes after that. I did get to talk to Caleb, and he said that he thinks his favorite encounter in the box is Magneto, and so I haven't really looked too much at the encounter sets in this box. I've done a little bit of a deep dive on the heroes, but I'm really excited to see what the rest of this box has to come. And I believe it just got posted that it's coming around the end of September. So right around the corner, we're getting X-Men. Super pumped for that. So I will be covering and playing all of these new encounter sets, all the new heroes as they come out. So if you're interested in that, make sure to subscribe to the channel and follow along, and we can go through this journey together. Super excited. I'm gonna go to bed, but I will see you all around. Peace.